Is all right for the Texans. How real are the Colts? How real are the Jags? And what is the state of the league? It's time for the Locker Room post-Week 5 outlook. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube.
Good luck.
You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, Locker Room. Yeah, we in the Locker Room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days.
Hell of a ball game right there, and a lot of localized interest there. It is the post-week outlook. I am Landry Locker. It is the Locker Room. Nick Casario speaks tomorrow at 10. We'll react to that on SNL, which you can hear Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock, as well as the Locker Room at 10:30. Texans Collective. Shout out to everyone who subscribed and wrote along to that. We're going to hear from Demeco Ryans. We're going to do what we do after Monday Night Football every Monday, localize the rest of the league and lay out where the Texans are. They're 2-3. Are they good? Should you feel much better about the Texans? That appears to be kind of the basic question of the day. But before we get into that, shout out to Sleeper for doing what they do. And they are taking it to a whole nother level, because now first-time users, maybe you've been skeptical about wanting to get into daily fantasy. Sleeper's going to give you a $20 free entry, and you can also still get a 100% match up to $100 by using the code LOCKER, as many of you have. So if you haven't played, $20 free, no problem. If you use the code LOCKER, you're also going to get a 100% match up to $100. This is my scoring app. I just missed my sleeper pick tonight by this much. I needed a Brown touchdown, but that did not happen. There was a near PI, but I did not get that. But Sleeper, it's the best in the game. It's the best sports app there is. The DFS. A lot of people are shifting their fantasy leagues to it. It's fantastic. I love it. They love ball. Probably the funniest social media accounts as well. They follow the games very closely, and they seem to enjoy it, which is always a bonus, because that means that they put themselves in the shoes of the sports fan, which we all are. Shout out to Sleeper. Again, $20 free entry, first-time users, $100% match up to $100. Use that promo code LOCKER. So let's talk about the Texans. We've talked about where the Texans are, the balance of not playing good teams with where they are, and the way that we were feeling before the Texans ended up winning these last couple of games. And I think it's a healthy balance. I think it's a healthy balance to acknowledge the Texans have beat 2 shit teams. And I'm not calling Baltimore at full strength a shit team. I don't think that the Texans beat the Ravens at full strength. But that version of the Baltimore Ravens sucked. Like, we can over romanticize it. We can say whatever. We're saying it all week. They are terrible. And we know what the Tennessee Titans are. So you have beat 2 crap teams. Now you've lost to 3 good teams. You've lost to the Rams, you've lost to the Bucks, and you've lost to the Jags. How good are the Jags? We'll get into that in a sec. And I know this is going to kind of fire up some people on the chat, but I think I have a decent grasp of what the Jags are and what the Colts are. It's very early, but we'll get into that as well. But they're a good team. They're not a crappy team like the teams that the Texans have beaten. So you balance that out. And I think really the best way that I can say it, and I've thought about this since the 2 streams that I did today before this one, and I try to provide, different POV on the night show as opposed to SNL. I think the best way that I can put this is, and this might be borderline fence sitting, but I promise I'm not trying to do that. But I don't know that you feel great about the Texans, but I don't think you feel bad. I think you feel okay about the Texans. Like they have salvaged a disastrous start. They're 2-3, just like the Kansas City Chiefs. The Texans, they're 2-3. Right now in the AFC, if you look at the AFC, there are 7 teams that have a winning record. There's just 7 teams. Nobody is unbeaten. 7 teams have a winning record, and the rest do not. And that's kind of where that's the mix where the Texans are in. Now you have 7 teams that make the playoffs. So that means that if the playoffs began today and it's way too early, all 7 teams that have a winning record would be in the playoffs, and all the teams that have a losing record would be out. So that just kind of tells you where the league is. There's no real world beater right now. But the 7 teams, Indianapolis, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Los Angeles, Jacksonville, Denver, New England, they're the teams that have winning records. And then you go down, the Texans right now are in 9th place in the AFC. So however you feel about the Texans right now, they're in 9th place. They're sitting behind Cincinnati, and New England would have the final playoff spot if the playoffs started today. Now, when you start listing these teams too, you're going to play the Colts twice. You're going to play Buffalo. You got the Chargers. You got the Jags again. And you got the Broncos. So if you want to see the Texans stacking how they stack up against these teams, 6 of your remaining 12 games are going to be against these teams with winning records. So you got to get a chance to measure yourself and see how good you are. I don't know how many of these teams you see as world beaters. Matter of fact, you're going to get Denver and Jacksonville within the next month. You're going to get them within the next month. And then we'll see what happens with the Colts. And then the Bills, it's going to be a little bit later. That's going to be a Thursday nighter, not the ideal situation, but that's where you're at. So the beauty of this, and this is kind of the beauty of the NFL compared to college, is first of all, like when you get in the playoffs, like anything can happen. And second of all, it's not like comparing a Big Ten team to an SEC team to a whatever ACC team. You're going to get to see this. 6 of your remaining 12 are going to be against those teams with winning records in the AFC. We're not even talking about the NFC yet. So you're going to get to measure it. Do I think the Texans are a elite team? No. Do I think the Texans could, if their defense continues to improve and the offense just is okay, they could be a second-tier team that could maybe flip the switch in the playoffs? I would say yes. Would I bet my life on it with a hypothetical gun to head? Probably not. But I would say yes, there is a chance, and it's all laid out for them. And I actually think the bye week comes at a perfect time. I know there's some who say, well, you're playing this well. I wish there weren't a bye week. I think the bye week comes at a perfect time. Regroup, reshuffle, check it out, see how it goes, and you'll get to measure where the Texans are. That's the best way I can say it is you don't feel great, you don't feel horrible, and that's really the layout that you have. We've talked about 5-5 being what they need to do. This feels to me, this feels, because normally you try to put a target point for what record you think a team needs to have. Back when this division sucked, like it was like 9 wins, 10 wins is going to win the division. 10 will definitely win it, and 9 wins will get it done. And that was also when you had the 16-game season. It was a lot easier to kind of have like the muscle memory of the vibe. But if you're looking at last year, again, let's reemphasize, 7 teams have winning records, 7 teams make the playoffs. So that right there tells you where things are 25% through the season, a little over 25% through the season. Last year, every team except one that had 10 wins made the playoffs. Last year, every team in the entire NFL, we're not just doing AFC, every team in the NFL that had 10 wins except the Seattle Seahawks, they made the playoffs. Texans have had 10 wins the last 2 years. It's been enough to win their division. I don't know that that's going to be the case this year. We'll get into the Colts and the Jags in a sec. It is the post-week recap here in the locker room. We do this every Monday after Monday Night Football. Reminder to like the video, subscribe right along, all that jazz. But This feels a little bit like a 9-win type of season where 9 wins, I think, can perhaps get you in the playoffs. That's kind of the feel that I'm getting with where stuff is right now, especially the stuff going on above the Texans. This feels a little bit like a 9-win season. This doesn't feel like if you win 10 games, it feels like you're in the playoffs this year. Last year, again, only one team. I don't think that's the case this year. This feels like 9 wins can get you in to the playoffs. What it feels like right now. So the Texans right now in 2-3, they're sitting pretty decent in that matter. Demeco Ryans, he met with the media. I need the thumbs up in the chat. Let me make sure that y'all hear this, because this was a Zoom one. I actually did not partake in the Zoom, but Demeco spoke. I'm going to play it. We're going to react to it together. I thought he said some pretty encouraging things. Give me a thumbs up, making sure that y'all hear this loud and clear on your on the stream. So give me the thumbs up. It's funny. You're going to see the faces of people talking. Here we go.
Good morning, Demeco. In what ways do you feel like the offensive line has shown improvement from last year to this point?
Our offensive line they've improved, I think, just overall with how we're running the football now, just eliminating the negative run plays, allowing plays to get started. Guys are getting a hat on a hat, being where they're supposed to be. And we still have things to clean up when it comes to protections and things that are happening that we have.
See, this is what I like. This was my favorite part of this press conference is it's not last year where he's trying to convince you that Kenyon Green doesn't suck or that Shaq Mason doesn't suck. This might be Popovich, Cole Popovich type of culture stuff where you're actually getting like some sort of accountability. You see it. They bench Laken Tomlinson. Juice Scruggs is in there. Demeco, not satisfied, not overreacting to just a couple wins against moderate teams. Here's more from Demeco.
To get fixed that we've talked about and worked multiple times that we still have to clean up. So it's not where it needs to be right now, but we're doing a really solid job up front. Titus playing really good up front as well. So we got some guys doing some good things. Just got to continue to rein it in and play collectively much better.
Christy?
Demeco, I know you always talk to your team about taking things week by week and not looking past or looking forward, but how proud are you of your team that they heeded that message, put the first 3 weeks behind them, and were able to bounce back the way you guys have the last 2 weeks?
I'm really proud of our team because that's really the only thing that we can focus on. We can't go back and change what happened the first 3 weeks. We can learn from it, right? We can improve on the miscues that we've had, and we can be better because of the things that happen. And I think that's what our guys are doing a really good job of. And the main thing, Chris, is just us taking care of the football. Right? That's been the biggest game changer for us these past 2 weeks. Like, we've had 0 turnovers. We possessed the ball. And the more we continue to do that in every game, that's always the goal. If we do that, we're going to have an opportunity to win the game.
Aaron?
Hey, bro. Alpha Aaron here.
Aaron talking on mute. Just Alpha.
Hey, good morning, Demeco. When you look at the
Alpha Aaron here.
ways some of the guys have performed, including some of the guys that maybe don't get a lot of attention, like a Blake Fisher or Tommy Tugiai, some of the linemen on both sides of the football. What are you seeing from some of your depth and some of their contributions? And we saw you use those guys a little more expanded role on Sunday. Thank you.
What you're seeing from young guys like Tommy, who steps in, and I always compliment Tommy because Tommy is a young guy who goes out and he just does it the way that we coach him to do every single time. And there's no surprise when he makes the plays that he makes in games. And they're huge plays that he makes. He played the run game really well yesterday. Also, just his awareness when it's screens and trap plays, like he's probably one of our best guys at playing those things because he's aware, instinctive, and does it the right way. Blake stepped in our jumbo package, and he handled that role very well. He handled the edge in the running game, gave us some lanes there to run the football. So he's done well with the small role that we've given him in the jumbo package, which And I always look at it like this: when guys do well with the few things that they're given, then you can trust them with more things. So happy, and pleased with our young guys for what they're doing.
Sarge.
He wasn't going to oversell the Blake Fisher thing. I know Aaron just wanted to
Hey, bro. Alpha Aaron here.
throw him a little bone, but yeah, he wasn't gonna oversell that. I still don't understand why Tommy Togiai wasn't active first two weeks. Really crazy. And I don't know if Foley Fatukasi really has a role even when healthy, especially assuming that Demeco Autry's going to be back. So that's something to keep an eye on here live in the locker room post-week edition. Let's hear more from Demeco.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning.
On last week, you talked about Kamari Lassiter a lot in the way that he practiced, and then he went out and he applied that in the game. But speaking with him post-game, he was happy for the win, but he focused on the things that he could have done better. Is that just something that not only that you've seen from him in his second year, but, from some of the other players on the defensive side of the ball who has that same mindset?
Well, from that mindset, so I want our entire team thinking that way, how Kamari is thinking. It's not about getting overly excited about the big play or the win. It's focusing on, man, what about those plays you missed? Like that's where you should harp on the most to me, because how can you get better and play a complete game as a player? That's what you're always seeking. And I understand nobody's going to be perfect, but, man, we're striving for perfection every single time that you're out there. And if you're a true pro, if it means a lot to you, like Kamari, like every single play matters. Like there is no, it's okay, I let them get a play here or there. Like you cannot have that mindset, and that's the mindset that Kamari has. That's why he's always straining, and he has that desire to continue to grow, continue to get better, and that allows him to be a really great pro for us.
All right, we'll get back to Demeco in a sec. Let's go to the super chat real quick. And Kamari Lassiter is an absolute dog. We already know that. He's a beast.
I'm a dog.
Absolutely. What did they call him? A psychopath? That's what they were calling him yesterday on the broadcast. He's an absolute freak. Let's go super chat.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm. St. Louis Rebel says the Chiefs 2 wins or the Giants and Ravens relax. They beat a little bit better Ravens team than the Texans did. I am with you. The Ravens weren't playing well. Little bit different. The Ravens team that they beat. Wouldn't you agree? Space Age 713 says not Texan related, but Landry, you were on point about JSN. He's balling in the mix. I've been the biggest JSN fan for a long time. He's one of my favorite guys. He's from Rockwall, Texas. I used to run the firework warehouse there for like 15 years, even in radio, seasonal. $1 million of sales the last couple of years. So if you ever need some fireworks out there in Rockwall, I got you covered. JSN probably does too. T-Man says the AFC wide open this year. Too early to call anything. 9-8 might get a wild card spot. LOL. Yeah, that's what I said. 7 teams with a winning record right now in the NFL. 7 teams. No teams unbeaten. It didn't take long. I'm sure the survivor pool, the sleeper survivor pool, I'm out. So I'm just an observer right now. But yeah, it definitely is wide open. I would agree with you on that. And Saeed says if we make the playoffs, I think it's wide open for whoever to win, but getting in the playoffs will be tough. I'll elaborate on that a little bit more. I think there is a appropriate adjustment to make when it comes to the outlook in the playoffs, but let's hear some more from Demeco.
Thank you.
Cody.
What's up, Stoots?
Demeco, when it comes to the running backs, is this game plan dependent on which guy goes in? Is it flow of the game? How do you decide which running back is right for which situation after some of the success Woody had last week, and then how Chubb's kind of put some consistency together as well?
Yeah, we continue to work both guys in. Some of it is game plan oriented, where we have particular runs for certain guys, and some of it also, Code, is just the flow of the game. Like if a guy just breaks a long run or a guy's tired, like Coach Danny Barry does a great job of rotating those guys. We have capable guys who can run the football, so we want to make sure they're as fresh as possible. And DB does a great job of rotating those guys in and getting them in on the plays that we've designed for them.
Jonathan.
Let me go with Christian Harris being inactive, is that more of him? You know, he dealt with the injury. Is that more of him trying to get back to where he was, or is that more of EJ Speed and others playing really well at his position?
Yeah, for our inactives, it'll be different guys are inactive every week, as you guys see. It's just kind of flow for how that week is going, and what we see is best for us to win the game that particular week. So it'll change every given week. So nothing against Christian.
Christy.
Demeco, you guys didn't have any really high draft picks this year, but you've still managed to get like big contributions from your rookie class. How valuable is it to have these guys that aren't necessarily the top picks come in and contribute immediately for you?
It's very valuable having the rookies that we have contribute. It doesn't matter where you pick. Like you may get one high pick, but how can you hit on guys throughout the draft? Like when there's a deep draft class, how can you hit on those guys and have guys who can come in and contribute right away? That's always been the focus for us. Get guys, have an idea of what's the role for the guy, not just selecting guys to select them, but having a defined role and how is that guy going to fit on your roster? What is going to be his place on your team, right? We always go into it with the mindset before we even select a guy, we have to understand his fit for our team, right? And I think we've done a good job of understanding the fit, the role for guys, and that allows them to come in, contribute very early.
Kim.
Hey, good morning, Demeco. Can you
Morning.
talk a little bit about the you guys did some different things with the offensive line yesterday. I know you guys had Houston and you guys used Blake Fisher quite a bit. Talk about bringing in those guys who were around last year, but we hadn't seen them as much this year, and how you guys were creative in using them yesterday.
Man, Blake Fisher just comes in jumbo packages as an extra eligible tackle, and he's getting, I don't know what's going on here
Today.
For us, offensively, defensively, I always tell my coaches, like, we have to do whatever it takes that particular week to win the game. So as you saw, we had some different looks where we went with more of a jumbo package on that week. Well, that's what we thought was best for us, right? Offensively, on the offensive line and for our defensive line, we went with heavier personnel because we thought that was the best thing for us. Our main goal this particular week was to dominate the run game, and we did that on the offensive side. Ran the ball for over 150 yards. And then on the defensive side, the guys did a really great job of stopping the run. So that was our focus. That was our game plan for the week. And again, that changes based on our opponent and who we're playing. But for me, it's any week, whatever the week is, are we doing whatever is necessary for us to win? Doesn't matter what we've done before, who's been in before, who was inactive before. It really doesn't matter. It's like, what do we need that week to win the game?
Sam.
Good morning, Demeco.
Morning.
With you all kind of building this momentum over the past 2 weeks, how do you go about approaching this bye week? You know, having this positive momentum and it being kind of early coming on in the season.
With the momentum piece, it's great to have back-to-back wins and continue for our guys to work the right way and see those results, see it pay off, see their work pay off. But again, like we'll take our time this week. We'll let guys, get away for a little bit and make sure they reset, refocus, get some rest, much needed rest. And we know we'll have a long haul ahead of us, but it's just about one game at a time, 1 week at a time, making sure we maximize our preparation to do what we need to do to be ready to go play our best in the games.
Aaron.
Hey, bro. Alpha Aaron here.
Hey, Demeco, when you do have this extra time, obviously recharging, like you said, is very important, but there's also extra time to prepare. What are the ways to kind of balance those things as far as watching extra Seattle tape and have a follow-up? Thank you.
And you want to do as much work as you can to prepare for your next opponent. And we'll have extra time to prepare for Seattle, have a chance to see them play another game. So we'll put our preparation towards Seattle and make sure we're ready to go for that one. And it's a big Monday night game for us. And, hey, we're excited again about the opportunity to play on prime time, and we want our guys to be ready to roll.
And anything new on Jimmy Ward from a health standpoint, and also anything with the NFL as far as you see off the exempt list? Is that pretty much a closed situation for that with the league? Have you heard anything new? Thank you.
Yeah, Jimmy he's doing well with his rehab. He's progressing really well. Now he's able to focus on strictly rehabbing. So I'm happy for Jimmy and situation getting resolved. Unfortunately, it took a long time for it to happen, but I'm happy that everything came out in a positive manner for Jimmy.
We have time for a few more. Randy?
Morning, Demeco.
Morning.
I had the chance to sit down with Dylan Horton last week. He's approaching his 2-year mark of overcoming his cancer diagnosis. Just want to ask you what that has meant to you and this organization. And of course, he continues to have a role in your defense. But a story that he said the support of the organization along that battle he had was really important to him. From your perspective, can you weigh in on that a little bit?
Yeah, Dylan is such an amazing young man. Really proud of him for just the way he pushed through, his diagnosis and the way he battled and fought to overcome it. It's a very inspiring moment to see such a young man handle it the way he handled it. He handled it with grace, smile, positive attitude. Every time you saw him, you didn't even think anything was wrong with him. But I think with the support from our organization, also, he had tremendous support from his family. I don't know of a better kid, and just the way that he goes about his business every day, the way he's able to inspire other people who had the cancer diagnosis or are going through it. Like Dylan is a guy that you can definitely look to for encouragement, and in whatever that is, it may not be cancer, whatever adversity that someone is facing in life. I think you can handle it the way Dylan Horton has handled this. You handle it with a smile, you handle it with grace, you handle it with a positive attitude, knowing that as you continue to push through, everything's going to be all right. And Dylan is definitely representative of that. And I couldn't be more proud of him. And, not just a player on the field. He's been doing a good job as a player, but more proud of him just as a young man and what he stands for.
Jonathan?
Vico, did you all come out of Sunday's game relatively healthy, or are you going to have somebody dealing with something?
Yeah, we came out pretty healthy.
Cody?
With Jalen Petrie, his second year playing this position he started playing last year for you guys, where have you seen the growth from last year to this year for him in that position, and what have you made of his start to the season for what you guys asked him to do?
Jalen's been outstanding start to the season. The growth piece is what we saw for the past 3 weeks, like him attacking the football, now having 3 interceptions on the year. I mean, that's the growth that I've seen. Not only everybody understands how active he is around the line of scrimmage and blitzing, but just the pass coverage piece and being able to take the football away. That's the piece of his game that's taken another step. I know he did that his rookie year. He had 5 his rookie year. To see him not have many last year and now to come in and have 3, and there's many more to come from him. He's playing physical. He had a really, big hit yesterday. He's playing physical. He's having fun on the field. Like if you watch the tape and you just watch Jalen Petrie play the game, that's how I want everybody to play. Like he's out there flying around, having fun, being where he's supposed to be, playing clean football, and doing it with a huge smile on his face. So he's making a ton of plays for us, and I couldn't be happier with where he is right now and what he's doing for our team.
He loves Jalen Petrie. I mean, he just recited his stats. He thinks he's the example. Look, it's hard to deny how good the start has been. I am keeping a very close eye on what that's going to look like when they start playing better ball clubs, because it didn't look awesome when they were playing bad teams. But the Jacksonville play was huge. And then obviously he's played good the last couple of weeks, but I'm still a little bit skeptical about the coverage.
We'll close with Kim and then Sarge.
Hey, Demeco, when you, I know you've been focused on the Texans, but when you look around the league and you see how maybe teams that were picked to, go to the Super Bowl before the season started, how everybody it's a reminder that you have to play every week. Do you use that as to talk to your players about forgetting about an 0-3 start because it's very much open for really anybody in the league. Can you just address how the league is? I don't know if that's more parity or how do you talk about that?
Really, Kim, I really don't talk about it because honestly, like I don't even know who's picked.
Okay. Shut it down. Demeco, don't talk about it.
What people think, like, and that's okay for everybody to have their opinion, but no one knows how the season goes. Like, you know, a team can lose a guy here or there at any time, and that their season is shifted, right? So and how can that team adapt? How can they overcome it? Like, you know, you could go on a good run, you could have a bad. Like, it's so many things. The season is so long. The ball bounces different ways every single week, and so to me, you go in each week trying to do your best to win. You don't focus on the past, what's happened in the past, the momentum everybody likes to talk about. It really doesn't matter. It's just about how are you dialed in for that week and how are you doing your best in that 3.5 hours to get the job done. That's all that matters. The opinions about who's going to win it, who's the best team, the rankings, like none of that matters. At the end of the day, we're going to work our hardest to have a shot to get into the dance. And that's what every team around the league is doing. Like, play your best to give your team an opportunity to get in the playoffs and then see what happens from there.
Go ahead, Sarge.
Coach, I apologize if you've been asked this. I got in here a little bit late this morning, but
can't be late, dog.
I flew in on an early morning flight just to make it here. But Coach, before the game, during the week and before the game, you told your players that you want them to go out and do a couple of things. You told the defense that you wanted 3 takeaways. They went out there and they got you 3 takeaways. But you also said that, you know, you want them to play with juice. You want them to, you know, energy and excitement. Did you expect Jalen Noel to pull out that celebration as far as nostalgia is concerned? He said that he learned that dance. He learned the celebration dance on Saturday night. I don't think he's even old enough to remember watching Ray Lewis or seeing Ray Lewis at the side of on YouTube. But what did that celebration dance? Were you surprised by it at all?
I was definitely surprised by it. I've been on the offensive guys a lot for the past couple of weeks about making sure they have some celebrations ready, right, for the end zone. Like, it's just a psychological thing to me. If you're thinking about celebrations, then you'll get in the end zone.
Okay.
So I'm happy that we're getting a little swag on the offensive side and we're getting in the end zone and we have some celebrations ready to go. But Jay Noel did surprise me with the Ray Lewis.
Okay. So there you go. He likes the nastiness. He wants you to be ready to celebrate. There you go. That's not as old school as Demeco is. Demeco is usually trying to go old school. That's not that old school. Shout out to Demeco for that. Also, shout out Reaction Monday. Been stacked. We're on stream number 3 here. Shout out to TDECU for sponsoring SNL Reaction Monday, as well as the Locker Room, official credit union of the Houston Texans, the best in the biz, and the debit card. A lot of people taking advantage of that debit card. It is very pretty. It is the new logo. Game day isn't game day without the right gear. Maybe it's a lucky jersey. Maybe it's a lucky hat. Maybe you just want to change the vibes. Maybe you want to figure something out. Whatever you want, you get 15% off the Texans online shop with the TDECU Texans debit card. You can show your pride, score savings while you do it. Visit TDECU.org/Texans. That's TDECU.org/Texans. Get your card today. Membership required, insured by NCUA. And that's not all they got. They got a heck of a lot going on. They've been doing some good stuff in the community. And they work with CJ. They work with the Cougs, and they work with me and Cody Stoots. So how about that? Power rank those partners of them. All right, so I want to get into the adjusted outlook of the Texans, because you keep hearing about the 2018 team starting out 3-0 and or 0-3 and making the playoffs, and I think the Texans actually probably would be best equipped to be the Colts that same year, the Colts that started out 1-5, ended up winning 9 of their last 10 games. They ended up beating the Texans' ass in the playoffs at NRG, just a complete shellacking. 21-7 doesn't really tell the whole story, and nobody wanted to face them. That's what the Texans need to be. They need to be a team that's just playing their best ball. It doesn't matter if they win the division. Quite frankly, I would rather them not win the division. I would rather them not win the division and just be playing well. If they do, okay. But I think that this team's nasty enough. They need to be uncomfortable. They need to go on the road. I look at them the way that I do. Like, if they're going to make a run, it's going to be because of the defense. You look at the Rex Ryan Jets teams. You look at teams that are nasty on defense. That's what I anticipate the Texans being. So instead of looking at that Texans team, which was fool's gold with no ceiling, and I think there's a few of those in the AFC South, like, we knew the Texans of 2018 weren't going to make a run. Said it on the radio every day. Bill O'Brien cussed me out one time because he said I was being a hater. We saw you. Like, it was fool's gold. There was no upside. There was no ceiling. So the Colts had an upside. They had a ceiling, and they beat your ass. So that's really what you want. And quite frankly, I think there are a couple teams in the AFC South right now that I think can kind of relate to not having much of a ceiling. Now, is it one or both, or either one of them for real? Either way, you have two teams in the division that are 4-1. And I always hear people say, you are what your record says. They quote Bill Parcells, you are what your record says you are. And they're completely misrepresenting what Bill Parcells was saying. Bill Parcells wasn't saying that when his team had a really good record. He was saying that when they had a shit record and they would give mistakes. In other words, it was the counter to we're close. It was the counter to we're close. That was the context in which he was using it. I can assure you that when his teams were 5-0, 10-0, whatever, he wasn't sitting there saying, hey, we're 10-0. That's what it is. The whole context of that is when you lose a game, you lose a game, and that's what your record is. So the Colts and Jags right now. Indianapolis is beating up on some really bad teams. They beat the Miami Dolphins, who suck. They beat the Broncos, who are good. Now, some would say that they kind of got that handed to them with a bad call, but they beat them. They beat the Titans, which the Texans have beaten. And then they lost to the Rams, and they beat Las Vegas. So Tennessee's wins are a win against Denver, where it was a very controversial call, the Titans, Miami, and Las Vegas. Now, I think the Colts are good. I really do. I think the Colts are good. I think Shane Steichen could be the best coach in the AFC South. He has more wins than Demeco, and he could easily, if it weren't for a drop pass, have as many divisions despite having not near as good of a quarterback situation. I think it's debatable. So I'm not just some Colts hater. When credit is due, I'll give them the credit they deserve. And I think what they're getting out of Daniel Jones is good. I think they're a very physical team. They've got some underrated weapons. Tyler Warren, I don't know how he fell into their lap. I don't know why the Bears decided that they were going to take Colson Loveland instead of Tyler Warren. I like Loveland as a player. I don't like him more than Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren was one of the best football players in this draft, and for whatever reason, the Colts were able to just stand pat and add him, and he's on pace to do what Brock Bowers did as a rookie, and it's a damn shame for the Texans because now they're going to have to see this guy for probably a decade. He's going to be one of the better tight ends in the league. So they have some weapons. But I look at the Colts the same way I do last year's Minnesota Vikings. Thought there was a nice job that Kevin O'Connell did reviving Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold obviously has catapulted that into being Seattle's quarterback, who the Texans will see 2 weeks from today. By the way, that game will still be going 2 weeks from today. So you might want to get a nap in that day because post-game is going to be late. And we'll push the end-of-week outlook to Tuesday, and it'll be a post-game show on Monday. But I'll look at them as a team with a limited ceiling. I think that there is a stopping point for Daniel Jones, and I just don't look at them as a team that has a real superpower late in the season. They're probably going to need to be in the dome. I don't know that they're going to run off 14 wins or 13 or 12. The schedule will get tougher, but I do think they're a good team, and I think that they're obviously in the driver's seat for division. They should expect to at least split with the Texans, and the Texans should expect the same. But we'll see. They still got 2 matchups late in the season. The good news for the Texans is there might be a chance if the Colts have wrapped up the division where that final game of the season doesn't mean crap, and maybe it gets the Texans into the playoffs. The same way that it got the 2019 Titans into the playoffs week 17, and they ended up going to the AFC Championship game. That's another team that didn't win the division that was better than the team that won the division, the Texans, who wet their pants against the Kansas City Chiefs with B.O.B. So I think the Colts, how real are the Colts? To go back to the original question, I think they're fine. I think they're a good team. I think they're a playoff team, but I think they have a limited ceiling. That's impressive. It's impressive that they're even in this conversation. I don't know that too many people had them being 4-1, even against bad teams besides Denver, but here they are. And Jonathan Taylor, one of the better backs in the league once again. They're a dangerous team, and they perhaps are better than the Texans. Actually, they are better than the Texans right now. It's not a perhaps, but if the Texans get it going, it'll be interesting. But it's not like it's some sort of – these aren't Peyton Manning's Colts. So that's about how real the Colts are. Then you talk about the Jags. How real are the Jags? The Jags just improved to 4-1. And the Jags – with Trevor Lawrence, you've had one good season, and then you've had a lot of blah. The Jags wins. They beat Carolina. They lost to Cincinnati with Joe Burrow getting hurt. That's crazy. They could easily be undefeated, but they lost when Joe Burrow went out. They lost. They pissed away the game. They beat the Texans. We saw that. And then they beat San Francisco, and they just beat the Chiefs. So the Jags are good. But my God, like even that touchdown drive, it just looked like it was on crystal meth or something like that. Like I think the Jags are good. The defense has the most takeaways in the league. Devin Lloyd is playing all pro caliber football. They got some good weapons on offense. They got Travis Hunter starting to find his groove. Brian Thomas has gotten off to a slow start. He made a big play in the game. Travis Etienne appears to be better than he was last year. But my God, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, it's never going to be easy with this guy. And as bad as CJ was last year, compared to what we've come to expect, it's got to be a really, really difficult thing to sustain and make some sort of run when you have a quarterback who's capable of making plays and then performing like the worst quarterback in the NFL. Like, I don't know what his Madden awareness rating is. I don't play Madden anymore. It can't be over 38. Like, and I don't know how Kansas City didn't touch him after he tripped out over the center's foot. They didn't have timeouts. The game might have been over if that hadn't gone down. Then he's reaching up loosely with the football when they're looking to score. Then he'll drop a dime. Then he'll throw a near interception, or he'll throw an interception. It's just, it's an absolute dumpster fire. They'll get delay of games. Like, I think Jacksonville's good, but neither of these teams in the AFC South are like some sort of, like, it's not crazy to think that a month and a half from now, we're looking at this and saying, okay, the Texans are in that same class or they're above this class. They're going to have to split with Jacksonville. They got Jacksonville in a few weeks. They're going to have to split. They're going to have to get the split, and then maybe it'll be easier to like assess the situation. That'll be in the middle of the longest home stretch of the year. But I respect what the Colts are doing with Daniel Jones. I respect the roster that they've put together. I think you should probably, if you're a Texans fan, you should be pissed off at the Bears for allowing Tyler Warren to get on that team. I think that's absolutely crazy. But the Jags are fine. But my God, their quarterback is just an absolute bleep show, even when he's playing some of the best football of his life. Like, this was looked at as some legacy drive. If you watch it, 3 of the plays were WTF is this? What is he doing? And then you sprinkle in a couple of good throws. It was the most Trevor Lawrence. I want to read this tweet that I saw come across my timeline. I thought this was the most perfectly said thing. Daniel Jeremiah said that was the drunkest TD drive of all time. That's a quote from Daniel Jeremiah. James Deco, he said, quote, that entire drive was so Trevor Lawrence. Below average decision making, incredible throws, a near back-breaking pick, and a trip and fall to display mobility. I think that basically summarizes what we saw there. Like, my biggest takeaway from this game that matters the most, like if we're talking about the upper tier, because the bottom line is this. If the Texans win the division and then it's just the same thing that's happened the last couple of years, cool. Like, no one really cares. Like, the difference between that and not making the playoffs in Jacksonville and the Colts going and doing what they do, it really doesn't, like, in the big scheme of things and long term, I don't know that it really impacts things as much. But as far as looking at what matters the most, Kansas City's going to be a problem once they get Rice back. Let's just be serious. Like, Kansas City is going to be a problem. You saw the way the Jags celebrated after they won that game. There's a reason. They know that this is as good as it gets for them. This is as good as it gets for the Jags. They're not making a playoff run. They're not a threat to get to the AFC title. They don't really have a superpower. They have a defense that's been okay. They could easily be undefeated. I know they could sell themselves on that, but they celebrated that because they know. I mean, that's like the SEC team that beats an SEC team that has been good for a long time. Maybe they're not even as good as they once were. Like this version of Kansas City, and they tear down the goalposts and they go, whatever, burn couches or whatever. That's what the Jags are. Let's be serious. That's not a threat to do anything. Colts, you could see the Colts finding a way to, like, I think the ceiling is limited, but crazier things have happened than winning a playoff game with defense and Jonathan Taylor running the football. You can see that, like that there's potential that could travel. Like that could happen. Come on, Jags. That's not it. That's not it. That was actually kind of hard to watch. But I think once Kansas City gets Rice back, I think it's going to be a problem. Patrick Mahomes has figured out how to run. Nobody in the AFC West wants to run away with it. All of a sudden, the Chargers, they're losing running backs. They're losing offensive linemen after their hot start. They're losing to teams that they probably shouldn't lose to. They're mingling around. Las Vegas looks like a disaster. Could Pete Carroll be one and done? I don't know why they thought Geno Smith was worth bringing in. That was a weird decision. Denver looks good, though. But you got Denver. But outside of that, there's some bunnies for Kansas City. I think Kansas City is going to be a problem. I think the way that we've seen them win multiple ways. I think once they get Rice, once they have Worthy, once they have Thornton, once they have Hollywood Brown, Travis Kelce in the middle, and then Pacheco and Hunt running hard. Patrick Mahomes leading the team in rushing. Kansas City is going to be a problem. I know that's not like something crazy to say, but that's Kansas City is the most relevant team that we saw just now. That's as good as it gets for Jacksonville. Like that was pretty damn cheesy. I mean, the whole drive was a joke. Outside of the throw to Brian Thomas, like you had the near INT. Not good decisions. I mean, the guy tripped and fell and got up and ran in the end zone. Like that nobody thinks that was badass. That was just weird and gimmicky and corny, and good for them. 4-1. Malik on the super chat.
You ain't never hate. Swarm.
He says, seeing Frogs lose is almost as satisfying as a Texan win. Oh, Mahomes. Seeing Mahomes lose is almost as satisfying as a Texans win. Since the Texans game in the playoffs, hate them more than the Pats for show. Told you 3 weeks ago, 3-3, now 6-3. Hey, your 6-3 is looking good. And if they go 6-3, they could go 7-3 because then I think you got the Titans after that. So that would be a hell of a start. Yeah, the flopping in the playoff game I think you're alluding to with Mahomes was a little bit over the top. Just a little bit over the top. Yes, delay a game too. Yes. Trevor Lawrence had a delay a game. Then he had another near delay of game. It was pathetic. It was pathetic. The sideline throw was nuts. But then you sprinkle in everything there. Like even when it's like a lead, it's just like really, really weird. Just weird stuff. Reminder, we'll be at Spanky's. Myself and Cody Stoots will be at Spanky's the 17th and 31st of this month. The gatherings start at 3:00 and they go to whenever. We've had fun mingling with the peeps. We do the broadcast live. Best pizza in the game for me. I love it. The homemade dough, the homemade sauce, and the menu is bomb. Whether you're going with the wings, whether you're going with the pasta, whether you're going with the sandwich, whether you're going with the tater kegs, which seems like is the top choice of folks. They got it all. And the prices, unbelievable. The drink selection, unbelievable. Underrated place to watch games. I say it with passion because this isn't like some endorsement happened to approach me and I'm just sitting here telling you about food. I've been eating there for a long time at the original location out there on Telephone. And now the Bel Air one is my home spot. So come through to Spanky's the 17th, 31st. We'll see you there. It is the bye week. Texans, they're not one of the 7 with a winning record, but they're playing a little bit better. Do you feel great about them? Probably not, but you don't feel too bad. And they have plenty of ball to play, a tough stretch of opponents, but the longest home stretch of the season. So they do have that going for them. Be sure to like the video. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to ride along. SNL tomorrow at 4. I'm going to get up in the morning. I'm going to go to Nick Caserio's press conference. Let me know in the comments what you would like to hear from Nick Caserio. And always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Appreciate y'all for rolling through.
For days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number one. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.